Welcome to the Journey 2020. I'm Charles Morse. Happy to have you here on this Monday evening here in Central Florida, where there's a tropical storm here in the area. And there has been a lot of rain, and I think it's supposed to last until tomorrow as well. It's funny how Mother Nature is. A couple of weeks ago we was begging for rain because we was going through a drought. And just like always, there's times when it rains a lot and there's times when it does not. And so actually here in the area, we had set some records and for as the lack of rain. And I think Mother Nature is trying to catch up. Once again, I'm Charles Morse here at the Journey 2020. We've been around since 2013, and we come to you every Monday from 7 to 8 p.m. right here at www.thejourney2020.com. So what the show is going to be about today? Well, I was having two guests on today, but my guest, which is supposed to have been a surprise guest, it's going to be even more of a surprise later on when I tell you what's really going to happen. Now, my other guest is running a little late because they're tied up in traffic. And for those who are in the area, Orlando, this is where we're located, Orlando, Florida, Central Florida, is really a fast-growing area, and the traffic is nothing like it used to be when I first moved here. When you can leave at a certain time, let's just say I wanted to leave to go to Disney, and I wanted to be there at 7:30. Back in the day, I could probably leave at about 6:50 and get there at a really good, pretty close to 7:30. But now, no way, no how. And it's not going to change. We had that conversation all the time. But anyway, my guest is on the way, which means that I get to try to ad-lib, hopefully, for a very short time. So I'm pretty sure you don't want to sit here and look at me for an hour. But, and my other guest is a surprise guest as well, and you will definitely enjoy him, all right? But I want to give you an update, well, not an update, a reminder, because every week, if you've been following the show for the past maybe 6, 7, 8 weeks, I have been talking about Dr. Woods and Dr. Jumper. And if you go, well, first of all, if you haven't heard of the P-shot, let me say this again. If you have not heard of the P-shot and the O-shot, then you need to Google it, and also wave gain, it came out a little later after the P-shot and the O-shot. Well, the Center of Urology is a specialist in the P-shot and the O-shot here in the Central Florida area, and you need to Google it to find out more about it. I guarantee you'll be like, oh, maybe this is something that I need to look into, or maybe I'm pretty sure it's somebody that you know that can reap the benefits of this new, I would say, technology with stem cells, your very own stem cells that they put back into your body, doing it the way nature intended. So I advise you to please do some research on the P-shot and the O-shot and the wave gain, and call up Dr. Woods or Dr. Jumper. And it's also called the Rejuvenation Center as well as the Center of Urology. They're all combined into one. Stop in, check them out. And if you're not in the area, I advise you to call them, and this is once you do your little research to find out what it's about, and you go, oh, you know what, I think this is something for me. Then they can help you, if you're not in the area, find someone that they know that is certified, that you can go, okay, you can go here. And they've been trained properly and have the right information to do you right. Okay, so also, if you tell them that you heard about the P-shot, the O-shot, and the wave gain on the Journey 2020, there's a nice little discount there for you. Don't ask me how much. All I know is that if you acknowledge that you heard about it on the Journey 2020, Dr. Woods and Dr. Jumper will give you the hookup. And you can thank me later. And ladies out there who, for your husbands and boyfriends and whatever, you can thank me later as well. So remember, the P-shot and the O shot, okay, and wave gain. You won't be disappointed, I promise you. As Dr. Woods would say, putting you back into the game. Now, for the past few weeks, I've been blessed to have some guests on, and we've been talking about, for an example, we talked about a white man's woman. You need to. Oh, by the way, if you go to the archives as well, along after you have Googled the P shot and the O shot, but if you go back to the archives, there's 3 shows that's on the P shot and the O shot where Dr. Woods and Dr. Jumper is explaining and talking about what they do, why it's so important, and the benefits from it. So go back into the archives, www.journey2020.com, to the archives, okay? But speaking of the archives, you can also go back to the show where I was talking to my friends, Miss Williams Tyson, and she has another book coming out, follow-up to this one right here, White Man's Woman. Pretty deep. It's called White Man's Woman, An Unspoken Rule. So you go back, check out the show on this, and we're going to call her up because she is supposed to come out with a part 2. And there's a reason why I'm talking about this book, okay? And then also go back, check out the show with Mr. Perry. It's called To Take a Righteous Stand. Talk about a lot of courage. Talk about a man who just, he would have to be a godly man in order for him to do what he did back there in the 30s and 40s and so on and so forth. And to tell this story and to hear about it, our journey, boy, I tell you, it's something else. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had on Mr. Huntley, Dark Days of Horror at Dozier, Rape, Murder, Beating, and Slavery. Our journey, our history. And the funny thing is, as I talk about these books, it's our history. I always say there's nothing new under the sun. And when you hear about it, you always go like, wow. But you've heard it before. And as we deal with what we deal with, this is a fascinating book, a story that is that we're still working on. I'm working with Mr. Huntley now. We're going to try to do no, we're not going to try. We're going to do a documentary to tell more of the story, because he said there's a lot of things that he left out in this book. And again, it's called Dark Days of Horror at Dozier, Rapes, Murder, Beating, and Slavery. Normally my show is an hour, but when talking to him, that show ended up being an hour and a half. And when I interviewed him, I had not read the book. I met him at an event and heard about it. And it's very powerful when he says, when you shake my hand, you're shaking the hand of a former slave. And he was a slave, along with so many others. And this has been in the news because all of this was done and warned by the state of Florida. Dozier and where they lived was governed by the state. So everything that took place, it was our government here in the state of Florida that raped and murdered and abused and did all these things to these young men. They also had some young white gentlemen there, but, and actually there is no but things were a little harsher on the black kids, okay? They abused them all, the white, black as well. And you can find out a lot more information on the white kids because they have their story out there. But unfortunately, a lot of these guys have died off. There was a lot of them that were murdered, and when they went to this place, and when the relatives of the parents came looking for them, asking for them, they simply said that they ran off. They ran away. And little by little, on the land, they're going back and they're uncovering bodies of these boys that was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. That, like for an example, as far as punishment, they tell the story about one of the kids that they put in the dryer, a dryer that you dry your clothes, and they put him in there as punishment, and of course, he died. The lashings and the beatings that they would have, well over 100 lashes, and they would have them hold on to a bed. If they let go, then there was 100 more lashes again, over and over again. So I don't want to give away the book, but there are 4 gentlemen who telling their own stories, and I interviewed Richard Huntley, and you can go back. I interviewed him a few weeks ago, and that was 2.5 weeks ago, and so you can look that up in archives, and he's tell the story about him and his brother as well. So we definitely want you to check out the book, but also be looking out for the GoFundMe page, because we're going to try to raise some money to do this documentary. So that's a pitch for the GoFundMe page that's coming up real soon. So check out that, but check out the book. He's working on a part 2, because there's some things in this book that there's some things that he did not put in the book that he now going, you know what, I should have talked about that as well. Now, reason why I'm talking about these books, because I have some more people coming on. This is a book of a friend. Her name is Malika Harris. Okay, I've been talking to Malika, and I'm so proud of her and happy that she finished her book, and it's really growing for her. She's getting her webpage together. I think she's trying to put it out in Spanish as well. The book is called Generational Curses. And are we familiar about that? All right. And in the future, we hope to have her on to talk about that. I'm trying to remember the play that she did that was very powerful as well, that kind of has something to do with talking about the generational curses, because when you hear her story, once again, there's nothing new under the sun. A story that we've heard before, and each time we hear it, it's always a heartbreaker, because it shows our courage, and it shows how our inner selves have to come out and deal with the realities of how cruel and mean and nasty this world is. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we talk about race relations and those type of things, but a lot of times, a lot of these stories are people that supposedly love us, who abuse us, and for whatever reason that spirit is there and it does what it does. We have to deal with the reality of what life is, because there's one that's been on my mind for a long time, which is called the sins of the father. And if you understand anything biblically, a lot of times we don't understand why we're going through what we're going through, because of something that happened generations before we were born, and it's there biblically. And when you don't understand, a lot of times when you do what you do, it will come back, and you could be long gone and dead, and dealing with the repercussions of people in your family of something that was done by you or someone before you. Now you're dealing with the repercussions of it, and that's just what it is. But we don't understand that, or when we talk about it, we kind of look like Nah, what you talking about? But if you understand what the Bible says, and if you are a believer, then you better understand what I'm trying to say to you right now. But this is by Malika Harris. Check it out. It's on Amazon. And I'm doing my best for this sister to get a webcam because she has a very interesting story. So you know what? I have an extra one that I bought that I was testing something out. And so I just may send that to her because Miss Harris, she kind of struggles when it comes to the computer and things like that. But we're going to have her on the show to talk about her book called Generational Curses. Also, I had been talking a while back, and I had been talking to Miss Lucille O'Neill, and it's my fault. It's my fault that I haven't had her on the show because she promised me that she would come on the show. And because at first when I asked her about coming on the show, she said, "Charles, have you read my book?" And I just had to have that guilty look on my face. And she said, "Oh, okay, when you come to church next Sunday, I'm going to have the book for you because I don't have any in the car right now." And for sure, next Sunday when I saw her, she says, "I have your book. Now you read the book. When you read the book, then I come on the show." Okay. So I read Miss Lucille's book, and I immediately, when I think I read it in like maybe 3 days or something like that, 2, 3. She gave it to me on a Sunday. By the next Sunday, I was done with it. Okay, so it was probably about like 3 or 4 days, and so I read the book, and I immediately emailed her. And I shared some things with her based on what she said in the book about her father, and to let her know that we both had something in common with our fathers, you know. And I've talked to her about it since then. But it was the timing and everything. So, but she did promise me that she would come on the show. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to set that up probably in the next month or so to have Miss Lucille O'Neill, and you guys can come on Facebook or whatever and ask her questions because she's very busy, and she is a very, very, very humble person. Okay, she's a very humble person, and she's a God-fearing woman, and that's one of the things that I love about her. She's very loving, she's very kind, and she's very patient. I'm not just saying that because she's Shaq's mom or because because her name is Lucille O'Neill. I'm saying that because she's a very genuine person. Okay, and sometimes I feel bad for her because the vultures are always out and people are always trying to get to her and reach and asking, and you know, so she, you know, and I guess for somebody like her, many like her who's in that position, people always, you know, tugging on you, but that's, you know, that's part of what comes with the territory. Now, I've been yapping, and the reason why I've been yapping is because I was hoping that my guest, who is stuck in traffic, would be here by now, as we're actually 19 minutes into the show. Didn't know I'd been talking for that long, but hope that you can bear with me. Anyway, I'm Charles Morse. This is the Journey 2020, and we've been around since 2013, the summer. I think it was July of 2013 that we started the show with Dr. Robertson, who was with me up until last year, and he promised that he's going to come back, who is a psychologist here in the area. And as I tell the story, as Dr. Robinson would say, the journey is from me to you and from you to me so we can reach a higher level. That's the purpose of the show. And so I want to say to you right now, so let me see if I can get this information to you, that if you have a show idea, and if you would like to be on the show, or you know someone who, you know, you go say, you know what, that's how I found out about Jimmy Perry. Someone say, hey, you know what, and also that's how I found out about Richard Huntley. Somebody recommends, say, hey, you know what, you should be on the Journey 2020. And so that's how I got the hookup with Mr. Huntley and Reverend Perry. Fascinating stories. Each one of these books, again, if you would like to come on the show or know someone, and they don't have to be here, because you know the way the technology is now is that you can easily do it over the internet, no problem. All you need is a webcam. I give you an address to go to, bam, right then and there. Each one of these books, as far as The White Man's Woman, To Take a Righteous Stand, Dark Days of Horror at Dozier, Rape, Murder, Beating, and Slavery, really says a lot about us, and it's very difficult. As I was telling my friend Ann, I said reading this book was very difficult for me. I've said it 1,000 times. I've only watched Roots once. I've only watched it once. I tried to watch it again with a friend, and I kind of couldn't really get through. Couldn't get through it. But when you read something like this, it's like watching Roots. The same here. With, you know, because you hear about the murder, the hanging, the abuse, which continues. You know, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome back to the show who has not been on the show forever in a day.
It's been a while.
You know, because he left me.
But I returned. That's the good part about it. I came back.
I like to say hello, Mr. Carter. How you doing?
Real good, Charles. Thank you.
Man,
glad to be back.
You know, it's good seeing you. Oh, I see your colors are blue and white, huh?
Blue and white, yeah. Went from orange and...
Yeah, you went from orange and white to blue and white. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
World going crazy. World just coming apart at the seams. I mean, all across the spectrum, economically, socially, culturally, from entertainment to sport, the whole world is coming apart. That makes for good conversation.
Well, see, the funny thing is, Vince, I started to put out there, right, that you were going to be on the show.
Okay.
Right? And then, because, you know, people want to say, well, Vince is going to be on the show, what you going to talk about, right? It's like everything.
Everything. You name it, we can talk about it. We'll try anyway.
Right. But won't you tell us what Vince Carter been up to, man? Because you left.
I had an opportunity to go to coach in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And I thought I couldn't pass it up. Went up there, a great school, great environment, following a pretty tough coach. I had 4 good back-to-back opportunities to the state. Mm-hmm. And we went up our first year. It was tough, but we went to the state last year. Got a chance to get to the big dance, and so it's been fun. It's a different kind of environment, beautiful area. Basketball is a little bit different, but basketball is still basketball. Right. And so I've enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but at the heart of heart, I'm a Floridian. As much as I want to be a Tennessean, I'm a Floridian. Right. So I've really been pursuing basketball, still doing as much as I can to help kids.
No, your son was playing in Memphis. Now, how far is Memphis from where you were?
3 hours.
3 hours. Did you ever get a chance to go
I got a chance to go down to a couple of games, and now he's moved to Sacramento, so guess what? I'm going to Sacramento. But it was right down the road. It was a 3-hour drive. I had been, in fact, at the end of Beale Street, those of you who are familiar with Memphis, and Beale Street, right at the end of Beale Street is this big arena. Mm-hmm. And I had been on Beale Street, so I was very comfortable. Mm-hmm. But when I was there, obviously there was no arena. Mm-hmm. And boy, it's electric around that area during game day. But it was fantastic. It was great to be able to go down and get a chance to watch him at work, and be in the environment. And now I just got comfortable. Now he's gone. So it happens that way. I'm happy for him, though. He's going into his 20th season.
Wow.
And I think that's a great for him. It's something that's one of his goals.
All right.
So I'm happy for him.
Well, you want to know the funny thing is that I said something to you a while back. I think it was actually a couple of years ago. What I said to you was how you feel, and I said it, mm-hmm. that your son is going into the Hall of Fame. I mean, remember that conversation?
Yes, I do.
Right,
I do.
Right.
And I thought it was a nice idea,
Right.
nice thought.
Right.
But it could be a reality. I mean, it's 20 years in the league, regardless, that's quite an accomplishment.
Right.
I'm really excited for him. I really am, and I think he's still contributing. Yeah, he's getting older, of course, but he's still contributing. If you look in the box scores, he's had some really good games,
right.
both offensively and defensively. So he still makes a contribution. Senior citizen on the floor, if you will. But he brings all that maturity, basketball IQ, and I think that's the purpose of the situation in Sacramento. They got great young talent. As a matter of fact, I just had a chance to speak with Frank Mason's dad, senior, just today. We were chit-chatting back and forth, and he commented that Frank was intended wearing number 15 when he got to Sacramento, but then right after that, Vince came in, so obviously he won't be wearing 15. And I think that's the idea of mentoring, because they've got Zach Randolph, they got George Hill, plus they already had some talent, and then you bring in Vince and those guys. I really think it could be interesting. Will they go to the NBA Finals? I don't think so. But will they be fun to watch? I think they will.
Oh.
I think they'll be entertaining. And they'll compete because the coach that's there now was former coach at Memphis, so he's familiar with Carter and Randolph, and they understand the system. So it could be a big positive.
Okay, well, let me ask you, because every time I try to catch up with you, I can't catch up with you. So what has Vince Carter been doing other than, at Brentwood? I mean,
basketball.
Because you all over the place.
I'm trying to do as much. I do as many things as I can as it relates to basketball, from speaking to clinics, working basketball camp. It's hard for me to coach AAU because they have some restrictions about how high school coaches interact. So I'm on the outside of some basketball activity there. So I'm just basketball and as much basketball as I can touch and anything I can do. Still trying to get connected in the community. Still talking and trying to foster the idea of a midnight basketball type concept up there. So it's still all basketball. I mean, and I have the opportunity now. I think I mentioned to you, I work with Planet Fitness. So that's a whole nother kind of interesting dynamic that I'm involved in now. So I like being busy. It's what I come from. I think that's when I'm more comfortable there. So I'm probably, once again, I'm overbooked, as always. But I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Keeps me trying to stay young, I guess.
We're always having these conversations. Let me say this real. Vince and I have done a lot of stuff together when it comes to midnight basketball. He works with me with my summit and a lot of other things, which I got to talk with you.
Okay.
Because I got a call to come out and speak to some kids at the Juvenile Justice Center. And so I figured that I'll ask them and have to figure out where we can do it with your schedule.
Okay.
See if we can do it over the internet, if I can bring you in.
Okay, that'd be fantastic.
And we both can talk, because I'm used to doing it with you, and I'm used to doing it with Dave, and both of you guys left me, but
Where did Dave go?
Dave is back up in New York.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he left like 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So he's back.
See, at least I come back.
That's true.
That's true.
That is very true. But we've done a lot of things together, and I've been pulling at him. It's been over a year that I've been trying to get Vince and I to do this sports show together, because in his circle and the people that he talked to, he has a lot of people that he can touch and that can come on the show. And my perspective may be a little different than most people, because I play sports, I love sports, but I love to get the feedback on people and somebody like Vince who's into sports, and because I come from the standpoint, like for an example, Vince, and when they came out with the report last week that I think they said 90% of the football players that they had tested. I think they said 90% had, what is that, C?
They had 110 tested, and around 90%, 85, 90% of them had the
With CT something.
Yeah, CTD, I think it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But see, my thing is that I would love to debate or discuss us as a society and where we put sports, and to say that when God created us, He didn't create us here to play sports. But you try to tell that, well, see,
Can't do it.
See,
it's a hard, and you know,
and the reason why I say that is because your body tells you that. I mean, along with so many other things.
Yeah, that's true.
But we're not here. Like, I mean, I would say, like Dave Washington. Dave Washington been doing martial arts for 500 years. You know,
right.
You know, and he knows martial arts. He's a walking encyclopedia when it comes to martial arts and all these other stuff. But the same thing. We were not put here to kick each other in the face. That's not why we're here.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
So I would love to have an open discussion about that, because my question is, what does it say about us as creatures, human beings upon this earth, that you turn on the TV on a Saturday and a Sunday and you look at that stadium and it's full, and you got these guys sitting behind a desk making millions of dollars talking about a sport, let alone getting paid $23-24 million a year of a child's game. All right, it's a child's game.
That's true.
And it's a religion that has come to be, I'll say, bigger than God. So we don't talk about it, but that's a discussion I want to have with you on the sports show.
We need to say that for the sports show.
I want to talk about that, because what does it say about us as a species of people and our understanding of existence, because it takes away from your purpose and why we're here.
Yeah, that would be an interesting comment, because there are people who will tell you their purpose is associated around sport, whether it's participating in it and or coaching it. And I think you have to get the dynamic of what they're saying. And I think that's interesting, because you want to see, how do you relate that?
But this is the deal. You and I both know all the positive things that comes from sports.
Oh, absolutely.
The problem that I have is where we put it.
Well, we do. Yeah, you can go from city to city, especially you take New England. You go up there with the Patriots. That's bigger than life itself.
But see, what I'm saying is, it's no different than I shoot you for your colors.
Same thing.
I shoot
Except
you,
it's control.
and I'll shoot you for your sneakers.
It's the same. Well, look on Facebook. One of the most popular things on Facebook in videos are people in the street fighting.
Right.
And and I thought maybe I'm different, because to me I don't find that interesting at all. I mean,
wait a minute. Are you not a Jerry Springer fan?
No, I'm not. I mean,
because
that's what that is.
Yeah, that's Jerry Springer.
See, and I just don't see that. I think for me, there's some cultural things that go into play. And I look at it probably the other side,
right,
that we are stereotyping ourselves.
Right.
We are damaging our view in the community of how we're seen and how we see ourselves, and we're resorting to a barbaric way that's just entertainment.
But see, like, for an example, like, because like we're like all over the place right now, because I got so much I want to talk with you about too. I got diarrhea in the mouth. just want to come out, because you've been gone. Come on, Vince, man, we got to talk. Like, for example, on the 28th of this month, I got Pastor Jenkins coming on.
Okay.
Right. It all kind of ties into the same thing. I don't know if you saw on the news last week, 5 young people took out they sitting there with their cell phones. Man is drowning. And they're, man, whatever that is. I can't phantom. I can't even go into that room. I don't even know how to look at, man, you know, you drive, man, you need to, I don't know what spirit that is for 14, 30. I don't know how you don't go into panic mode and just go. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whatever we have come to in the species that we crazy.
Well, there's no doubt. I mean, we have evolved from that common sense caring to I don't really care about you. You're entertainment for me, whatever it is that you do. We are narcissistic. We are violent. We are very much selfish. And where at one time we used to divide ourselves by community or divide ourselves by economic situation or even divide ourselves by race, by north, south, east, or west, you're no longer there.
Right.
Those barriers are gone. And we've gone into an area that when you look at it from a street sense, it is turned into a turf wars, even beyond, because even turf wars had order.
Right, but
we don't have any order now.
But
how do you explain those guys standing there watching a man drown and find it to be amusing and recorded it?
Right, but see now Pastor Jenkins will have come up, but he said something a couple of years ago in one of his sermons, and he said, "Who really started East Coast versus West Coast?
Mm-hmm.
Washington D.C.
Oh yeah,
because it is the most barbaric." The most evil, the most craziest thing.
Turn to the news for today.
To have, it's almost like, and it says more about us than it does them, because it's just when you have a Republican standing up talking about a Democrat, and vice versa, and it's almost like you my enemy.
Oh, there was no doubt.
You my enemy.
Yeah.
You my enemy. And like for an example, you would think with common sense, just to show you how they are. Well, Obamacare. All Obamacare did was expose you can't get sick in America. That's all it did.
Well, and to that point, though, right there, we've been trying to come up with an Affordable Health Act for 40 years.
But what I'm saying is, that East Coast, West Coast, because you can't say, as a Republican, something as simple as Obamacare is something that we started and we can fix it and we can make it better. No, Obamacare is the worst thing in the world. No, you can't say, you know what, let's tweak it and do what we need to do for America. Well, you got to attack it.
What did they say the other night when the skinny repeal didn't pass?
Right.
He got up, Mitch McConnell got up and gave this speech about all it was about is two separate aisles.
Right, exactly.
That's all it was about. We weren't able to do what we wanted to do. Now we're going to see what you're going to come up with. Instead of the whole concept was supposed. See, the two-party system troubles me anyway.
But
because nobody's talking about it. The first thing they say, and I always want to ask, when I hear them say, for the American people, which American people are you talking about?
Right.
Because if that was the case, we don't need Democrat and Republican. Right. We need people serving for the betterment of the people.
But that's our fault, though, because that's because
we allow it.
We allow it.
And we support it.
And I was saying something in reference to Trump. No. Let me tell you, this is what I mean. As we were talking about what we were talking about, who we are and all the things that you said, who we are. I think one of the reasons is because there's a little Trump in all of us. That arrogance, that I want to be above the law. I want to be able to be a shot caller. I want to be above all of this. And so when you kind of look at him a little bit, you kind of be like, as sick as he is, he's
definitely sick.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. He got some.
And I'm nervous to think that I have any relationship to his mentality.
Right. Because
I would rather be associated more with Bush, who I thought was a knucklehead, than to be associated.
Right. Because Bush gave hope to a lot of people. Yeah, like if Bush can become president, there's a lot of things that people can achieve.
Do anything, there are a lot of people ought to have hope.
Right. Now, Trump is on a whole nother, but that's part of the arrogance of human nature. Because that arrogance, first of all, it's hard. I can't have a conversation without something spiritual. Can't do it. Like, for an example, like God shows you things every day. He shows you, he shows you, he shows you.
Reaffirms.
Right.
Yeah.
So when he was like that 2 Corinthians. Bing, light came on. Mm-hmm. First of all, he don't know who God is.
No.
He don't have a clue. And that's a perfect example. I was talking about generational curses, right?
From my
right.
Miss Harris.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, and I'll say this: when you don't understand what I was talking about earlier about generational curses, the sins of the father, and I'll say this because you can go read it in the Bible. Trump gonna be dead and gone. There's gonna be somebody in his family going like, "Why this happening to me? What the heck is going on?" You know, something that, because that man don't know who God is.
And I don't think you have to wait till he's dead and gone.
Well, I'm using that as an example.
It's going to be sooner than that.
Just as an example.
Yeah, absolutely.
In
your illustration of generational curses.
Right. And so when you don't understand that and you don't know who God is and how this thing works, and then you got this thing that you call power and money, and it's all about you, because if it was about you, then why are you getting fat, Mr. Trump? Why are you getting gray hairs, Mr. Trump? Why can you get sick? Why wouldn't you know? The list goes on. I mean, I'm not going to go down that road for a minute. That's for another show.
That's for another show. That's another show.
But I'm talking about his arrogance, his inability to understand.
Yeah. Well,
because
I don't know if it's not his ability to understand or his willingness not to understand.
But see,
he don't care. He does not care.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because he don't understand.
Right. Well,
okay? Right? Because he don't understand. But if you took Trump right now, who he is, and you took away his money, and he had no money, they would consider him trailer trash.
Oh yeah.
He would get his butt kicked every day. Every day.
And we don't, there's been so much conversation from those who are documented wealthy, who don't believe he has what he says he has anyway. He was a failed businessman. The only reason we know as much about him the way we perceive him is because of his real estate holdings, which was given to him. And he's done reasonably well. He hasn't done as fantastic, but it's that branding. He's done an excellent job of branding himself. Well, we see Trump, and we're under the impression that he's far more wealthy than he is. And I'll tell you this, he is not the smart businessman everybody give him credit for. Because if you go and look at his background, he's got an awful lot of failed, bankrupt businesses and opportunities that he's been involved in. And his decision making is bullying. That's the way he decides. That's his decision making.
Right. Yeah, because he bullies everybody.
He bullies everybody and everything. So, and if you look at current day activity with him involved, it is so chaotic. And it's hard to imagine this is the government, the highest seat in the land. We're just as they're so confused, it's unbelievable. The right hand, even the Republicans are confused. They look around going, oh my God, what did we do?
Right. As a matter of fact, I saw someone who kind of works for the federal government, and the conversation that I had was, it's so chaotic. There's people in the White House that's trying to save America. I'm saying, and that's how she said, there are people that's trying to save this country from this man. Trying to do what they can, the best they can. And she said, we right now we're over here under this, but he's trying to get everybody underneath him. So right now, even our department, I won't say what department it is, she said, but it's all crazy right now. Because he's trying to switch it all around, and don't nobody know where they're going or what's going on.
And that's all based on corporate understanding. This is like he's treating the federal government and the office of the presidency as if it was his own monopoly game. And he just moved pieces, and we're just going to do different than anything that we've ever done because that's what I want to do. And unfortunately, and one of the things that upsets me is all these people who are coming out against Trump now, where were you when he was running? You sat back and you just waited and you said, well, it's not going to be that bad. Now it's that bad. Well, and it's too late.
Well, the thing that I will say, like, I give Trump credit, and for somebody like Rush Limbaugh, see, to me, like Rush Limbaugh, he's a smart guy. because he profit off the ignorance of people. I say it all the time.
Well, that's true. I agree with that.
He has learned how.
And Trump is doing the same thing.
Exactly.
That's how he got elected.
Exactly.
He's off the ignorance
because
of people.
And he always throw out so much crap to defer, and they just it's kind of like the hog sitting in his feet down.
Well, it's smoke and mirrors.
Right. Exactly.
I believe right now what we're looking at, this chaotic behavior in the White House, in my opinion, is all about the smoke screen to keep us from paying attention to the Russian activity.
Right.
That's not going away. He thought he could diffuse it, he could confuse people, but finally we got some people who are focusing, and they're not letting that go. They just won't let it go. And now now they've been after this since he's been in office, 5-6 months. Mm-hmm. Now they're starting to uncover, oh, by the way, I did meet with them. Oh, yeah, well, I met more than one time. I forgot that. It's coming loose piece by piece. It's starting to expose people. It's starting to embarrass people. We got people now coming back, backtracking, so you lied the first time. Okay, so, so it's slowly coming out. I don't know what cost is going to cost us as a country, because that's a very high price for the truth, but it's coming at a cost that I hope we can recover.
But Vince, what he exposed and what the reality of it is that we are so divided.
Oh,
I'm saying just the truth of it.
Yeah. And this further proves that.
Right. And what I mean by Rush Limbaugh and the ignorance of the people, we are so divided to the point that we can't come together enough to understand that they are supposed to be serving us. And because they don't have to worry, and they know the ignorance of the people, mm-hmm. they know exactly what needs to be done to keep us separated, and knowing that we will not come together in the numbers that we should. Like, for an example, when I went to vote, I should have probably been out of there 15 minutes than what I should have been, but I'm sitting there going, I really don't have no choice. I'm sitting there, I'm going back and forth. I'm frustrated because this is my choice. Mm-hmm. I got to choose, and it's just like, okay, the system. And not until you change the system. The system. Mm-hmm. The system has to be changed.
But Charles, I also
Democrat
think,
in that because if you like, for an example, I will say this right here. They have brainwashed us to the point that everything is a left or a right, which is part of that whole thing of them being in power. Mm-hmm. As long as we have to associate ourselves with this.
You have to choose.
So, I meant in our culture.
Yeah, but even in our culture, you have to choose.
Right. So it's not about us as people, but it goes back to what I was saying before, that something that we have that Trump has. That's part of that arrogance. And that arrogance means that, you know what, I associate myself with this because this is better than this.
Well, I do think that you're right in that, but I think to enhance that or to further elaborate on that, it's called opportunity. Mm-hmm. It's called favor. Mm-hmm. That you allow certain people to get. I'm all for us having favor, but it needs to be equal. And we know it's not equal.
Right.
We know it's not equal. So when one achieves that inequity, it puts them in a different category, which automatically begins to give them a mindset that I'm better than you. Okay, I may not be more talented than you, but I have more resources than you, or I have more connect. See, that's that innate, and I think in human nature, it is about achieving. But I think we put too much purpose on win-lose.
Exactly. But then I'll give you a perfect example of what I meant by how dysfunctional we are as a culture, right? And how the stadiums are full on Saturdays and Sundays, because I said you took that same passion where people go out and they do all these things for whoever their sports teams are. Mm-hmm. They love their sports team, from throwing bricks at the TV when your team lose, mm-hmm. and forming crowds for the parade for the champions and all that we that you do and I we got to talk about it because and I'll say, well, what did that do? I mean, what did that do for you?
That has always been a good question from a sports even from a political.
Well, right, because I'm saying
we're distant from the outcome
because you know them as an athlete or an actor, an actress, or a singer, or an entertainer.
Yeah.
You know them from what they do, but you don't know them.
You don't know who they are.
You don't know them.
I
mean, we can bring up plenty of people that you'd be like, whoa.
Well, you're right. I read recently a group of actors, and then on this particular, and I won't call any names, but this was black actors who don't believe in God, and you would be shocked at some of the persons that were involved, and you can always go look it up. But it was interesting to hit. But I know people who are on this list, and there were two people who I very much associated myself with. They kind of left me kind of funny, like I have a great appreciation for his ability or their ability to do what they do.
Right.
Okay, and I think I still have that, but I've got to admit now I look at them I do look at them a little bit differently,
well, it's funny
because the sincerity of what they're doing, and I think that's what happens when we get to know who this person really is. It either enhances that experience or it changes that experience.
Right. Well, I was having that conversation, Bernadette, who was Thelma on Good Time.
Okay, yeah, Bernadette. Is it Peters?
No. I can't think of her last name right now.
Smith.
But
okay, I know you're talking
about. But let's call her Thelma.
Yeah, Thelma. I do remember Thelma. Yeah.
And when I talked to her, as a matter of fact, I might even put I've had the interview for over an hour, for over a year, and I never edited it, but I do have the interview and just sat and talked to her even after I turned the camera off. We talked for a while. She, very, very, very nice. I was telling her, girl, you was fine. She said, oh, because I told her that I told her, I said, a lot of people don't know you was in the centerfold of jet. Right?
I did.
And so she said, did you see my pictures in ebony? I go like, no. Then you need to Google them. I go like, I will as soon as we finish this conversation. I'm gonna Google them. But I was talking to her, and we were just talking about Hollywood in that conversation that you were saying, because we got around to, because she's spiritual, and she said, unfortunately, for a lot of people in Hollywood, money is their God.
Oh yeah.
But that goes. I mean, we all know that. She said, "Yeah, money is their God."
But and I'm sure she can speak to the fact that you've had several actors who walked away from Hollywood. I saw a list on that, and I was kind of surprised. I haven't heard from them anymore, and this is why, because they decided that their spiritual relationship was more important than the money and what they had to do to make that money conflicted with what they believed spiritually.
Right.
And so I'm saying, well, that's interesting. You don't hear much about that. There's no detailed information about that, but there are a number of people who are starting to equate, because from what I've been hearing, and I'm sure you've heard the saying, it's worse now than ever before. Hollywood is a cesspool.
Right.
Because it's all about ratings and dollars, and what they have to do to get that, they're doing it. You look at the content on TV, and I can go back when it's so much night and day. It's so different.
Well, yeah, because now there used to be rules.
There are no rules.
I've been in television for a long time, been working in television for a long time, and knowing how it used to. Well, I mean, back in the day, they wouldn't even put Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler Moore in the same band. Right, so...
Yeah, two separate bands.
Right, so, and for people out there, the young people, Google Dick Van Dyke and Mary Tyler.
The Dick Van Dyke Show.
Right. So, which was a very good show, by the way.
It was.
So, and Dick Van Dyke is still around. Mary Tyler Moore died last year.
Yeah, she sure did.
Right. But knowing that, and just knowing, being in television and just seeing what, I mean, just like the gory movies now. And one of the reasons, what's the movie with the stabbing in the France? What's the movie with the stabbing of the in the shower? Psycho.
Yeah.
Right. And he left it to your imagination. Right. because that's still one of the most famous scenes in all of Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, he didn't show the, you know, you didn't see the
Alfred Hitchcock.
Right.
Yeah. Master of mystery.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so the gory and the you know and all this stuff that takes place now, and it's just it, you know, and see, and like I said, but it's all written, and biblically it's said that it would happen. You know, and all the things that are happening is biblically in there, and so I you know, and so when I speak from a spiritual standpoint. So that's where I come from, and I'm just an average Joe Schmo. I know that there's things that's big in life than me. I ain't, you know, I look out the window every day and go like, oh, how did God do that?
Right.
You know,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
But that whole thing, man, I would love to do the sports show. Just love to have a little round table and talk about where we are mentally, emotionally, and our views and our status and our meaning and our purpose when it comes to sports, and how we have put it in a place in which we take a child's game and raise it to a level, because I can, like I said, I can appreciate the discipline. I can appreciate the effort. I can
Even
appreciate the skill, all of that.
The strategies that go into it.
The fact that, like, for an example, if somebody, because I've heard them talk about like a Super Bowl ring, right? If somebody gave me a Super Bowl ring, I'd be like, I didn't, you know, understanding what it took, I didn't break a sweat. Other than the fact that I can pawn it.
Yeah.
I mean, now if my son gave it to me,
right,
that's different. If my cousin gave it to me, that's different. You know, somebody that I have a relationship with that's saying, I gave this to you because I love you. That's totally different.
That is different.
But to understand what it took to get it, I wouldn't feel right.
Yeah, I would have an appreciation for it.
Right.
But I really can't relate to that because I didn't put that effort in.
Right, because other than the fact that I don't know who, you know, it's just a ring. You know, I mean, it's a Super Bowl ring, and whoever ring it was, if it was Joe Montana, I mean, Joe Montana put in that work. Joe Montana did all the work that I understood the work, but I didn't do it.
Exactly.
You know, so to me, it's just like, no. Now, if you want to give it to me so I can go pawn it, so I can go and, you know, maybe buy me something nice or give it to the church or something like that, that's something totally different, though.
Yeah, that is different.
But the way that people look at that kind of stuff, you know, it's just mind-boggling in the sense that you look at these athletes who don't give a toot about you in the first place, let alone even taking the time to give you an autograph.
Yeah.
You know, so on and so forth.
Unfortunately, that's
whether
true.
or not it's an athlete, a singer, an actor, actress, whoever you put up there on that pedestal.
I think we do that, though. I have had the opportunity to interact with some people at the top of their profession, let's put it that way. And the thing that they remark all the time, and they're human too, they have good days and bad days like everybody else.
Right.
And I say, I understand that. I can appreciate that. Now, not all of them feel that way. Some of them just, they believe their own hype. They think that they are bigger than who they really are, not understanding that those people are the people, that's why you're where you are, because they will go see what you do, they will attend wherever you are, and they're paying their hard-earned money to go see you do that. So it is an interesting conversation, because there's so many dynamics at place, a lot of moving parts here. While it serves as a good outlet, a good entertainment, but at the other side, when you take it to the point that you worship it, is when I get a little concerned, because I'm an avid football and basketball. I got my favorite teams, and I'm regimented because I don't answer the phone when my team is on, I don't do this, I don't do that. And I caution myself and say, are you worshiping this, or is this just your favorite team? You give them that time because I want to see them play. Yes, and I like to see them win. So I'm cautious not to be worshiping them to the point that I don't shut the whole world doesn't stop because I miss my favorite team, and I'll go back and try to find out because I'm busy. at times. And before I would stop, whatever, I would put everything off because I want to see this. And now I'm at a point like I would really like to see that, but I don't have time.
Right.
You know, what I'm doing is more important than I'll tape it. Somebody will call and tell me. I'll see it on Facebook. I'll get a sports alert, and I move on because this, to me, is more important because I'm dealing with that other person, that relationship, and I'm trying to make a difference. And most of the time, I'm trying to make a difference in one of these kids' lives.
Right.
So, which is more important? Supporting my team for people like you said don't even know I exist, and I got all my team paraphernalia. And they don't even know. If I walked in the room, they have no idea who I am.
Right.
Or the time with this individual who is waiting for me to come and be there to follow through with what I said before. So I had to balance that. I'm still an avid sports fan without a shadow of a doubt. I still got my favorite team, and I'll run cross town to see them play. But at the same time, hopefully I've got a balance now where I can say fantasy against reality. Okay, you're doing what I want to do. You are playing a sport at a level, and here's a kid who wants to try to do that. Can I help him? Can I help him from a skill level, mentally, socially, to hopefully get that sense of satisfaction? He may not ever play the game to that level, but can I help him have a sense of satisfaction about what he's doing? Have to weigh that out. And I think I tipped it the other way when I was so much into that. I mean, someone challenged me one day when I was talking about my favorite team, and they said, and I was disappointed about something. They said, "Do you think they even care?" and it insulted me because that's my team, you know. But afterwards, I said, "You know what? You're right."
But see, that's what gets me, right? Because you just said that's your team.
You get. Well, I think,
no.
But you know what I'm saying.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. But this is where I'm going with it. Art Modell. What is? Can you name a city that loved their teams more than the Cleveland Browns? Can you name a city that loved their teams more than the Oakland Raiders? Can you name a team that loved the Colts when they was in Baltimore? Can you name? I go down the list. You love your team. Your team just left town.
Yeah, well,
which is saying they don't give a hoot about
There's no doubt about that.
They don't care.
See that
they don't care.
But you know that avid fan.
They don't care.
He gets stepped on because those decisions that are made are not about his concern. It's about the dollars and cents.
Exactly. So
if I got one fan here, if I leave you, you'll be all right. But I'll get another one over here.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They care nothing about they. You know, you do what you got to say. They care nothing about you.
But Charles, you don't have to go that far. You can look right here, and I hate to say this, but you can look right at Orlando Magic. The Orlando Magic, in my opinion, has demonstrated over and over it cares nothing about its fan base. They only support and do things that benefit them. They say they do something in the community, but there's always a kickback or feedback or a springboard for them to do. I'm not saying don't do good business. I 100% believe in that. You got to do good business, but you also got to give,
right? Because
it's the right thing to do, or somebody needs it, and that's one of the things I've experienced with them, and I've heard others.
Well, trust me.
I'm sure.
I've sent them letters.
And fan base. I've known people who had season tickets since they've been here, and over the last 5 years, said, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Because they don't feel, when they built a new arena, yes, you had to make adjustments. Yes, you got to change your price structure. Understood. That's good business. But you took loyal customers, and you just disregarded them. And they became upset. They gave up their tickets and stuff. So, again, that's that same mentality. Now you're building $100 million entertainment complex. Is there more you could do with that $100 million that would have a greater impact in this community? Number one, could you spend some of that on the basketball team? But let's just go beyond that. Could there be even greater impact you could have in spending that money? I'm not saying don't build those things. I mean, but I'm saying give where it makes a difference.
Right.
Give where people, because I've heard other sports clubs who do things that's unheard of here. They go out in the community to give with no return. I do it because I want to do it. I do it because it's the right thing to do. I'm a part of this community. I'm affecting this community. Let me try to enhance this community. No give back.
But see, that's another show that I would love to do. See, we're gonna put that on the list. Somehow or another, I'm gonna tie Vince down, and even if I have to get him to sign a contract for us to do this show.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Right, all right, because
I commit on TV. We're gonna do it.
There's even if it's just a monthly show that I've been wanting to do, because there's been so much going on sports wise.
Oh my goodness!
It's just like crazy whether or not Kyrie leaving Cleveland, whether or not football getting ready to come up, because I would just say, man, you're in a contract, sit down and shut up. That's basically what I would. And no, actually, you know what I would do? I would put him and LeBron in the same room together. Work it out, man. Because you have no choice. Both of y'all under contract. Work it out. And that's what I would have to. I'm serious. Because if you don't work it out, how is it going to look for the both of them?
Well, you make a good point, and that's part of the argument, part of the discussion that's going on out there now. I think when you look at it from a team chemistry standpoint, first thing I think of is that if you don't want to be here, then I need to move you. The second thing is, how does it benefit? Because you got a 2-year contract.
Right.
I can't just give you away.
Nope.
This thing has to make sense now.
So now, work it out.
So what? Y'all either work this out, which I think is past that point at this time.
But let me ask you something. And the reason why I say work it out, because once that ball is thrown up,
I'm not sure. I hear what you're saying, but I'm not sure.
Because once the season starts, and I think LeBron needs to understand on the other end too that you King James, but King James because they gave you King James. Well, but what I'm saying is, he needs to understand that.
He's got to grow up too.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He's got to grow. I agree.
So he needs to understand there's another side to you being King James. What's happening on the outside?
Well, but see, I think part of Kyrie, two things. There's two schools of thought going on out there, maybe 3 or 4, but the two that I hear the most about. Number one, Kyrie is looking ahead, saying, and LeBron said the other day that the no trade clause in his contract, he's not going to accept that. He wants that option to remain on the table. So Kyrie is saying, you're not committed to stay next year. You might be going after, and I'll be here for 2 years stuck with this. Now I got a team built around you that I got to deal with. Okay. Makes sense. To a point. He's thinking, he wants to be the man on the team. Now there's supporting information and saying, well, Kyrie, when you were the man, y'all didn't win. Y'all didn't win. When you took LeBron off the floor. Now, the kid can play. There's no doubt about it. He can score. And his defense is not bad. But we've seen, I think if you look back over time in the NBA, that single-man team doesn't win. LeBron doesn't win by himself.
No. Nobody has ever done that. Ever. And never will.
Mike when we talk about Mike as one of the greatest players ever, Mike didn't win. He scored a lot of points, but he wasn't winning.
Right.
He was lighting everybody up, but he couldn't win by himself. So that's the second part of that. When the ball gets in LeBron's hand, I think he is doing a better job. But at one time, the ball stopped when it got in his hand.
Right.
He was going to shoot it or something. He's doing a better job of sharing the basketball. But Kyrie seems to be under the mindset that in order for me to be where I need to be, I can't be under your umbrella.
Right.
He might have a good point, but so consider the business side. What am I going to do? You're under contract for 2 years. In order for me to let you go, this thing has to make a lot of sense to a lot of people.
Right.
Because I got to cover that 2 years some kind of way. Right. So if I'm going to let you go, then I got to get a whole lot coming back. And the teams that can afford to give up, they don't want to do that. Right. Like they went to Sacramento and say, okay, I want DeAndre Fox. They said, oh, no. We're not giving that.
Right.
They've gone to other teams, a number of other teams. They all got the Heat's involved, Phoenix involved. So they're saying, but see, it makes sense for Cleveland to ask for a lot because you're giving up one of my better players. But on the other side, they're saying, I don't want to give up that much. I'd rather wait my time out, let y'all just play out and break down, then I'll beat your brains in.
Right.
So those dynamics are going back and forth. I think you got questions like Harden and Chris Paul. They playing well out there in the Drew League in California, which is a pro-am right now. But what's going to happen when we put that ball on the floor for real? Now, I think right now they're learning how to coexist.
Right, but that was something else. That was something else that I want to talk about. Especially because there was so much going on, and so I want because again, Vince, I asked you this question is because when you're an athlete and when you play, and once that ball goes up, the game is the game, and you do what you do in all the. What I'm saying is, if you want to win,
well,
if you want to win,
and I think I take if you want to win to the point that I challenge every athlete. How much do you love this game?
Right.
If you love this game, then there are sacrifices you are willing to make. Obviously, for the amount of time that you put in to be good at this game, you had to sacrifice something. I've seen that. I'm not going to this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to do what I got to do that. If Kyrie's resentment is that strong, then tossing the ball up, it's just going to get worse. Because what he's angry at, he's going to see more of. It's not going away unless they can come to.
Well, that's why I said LeBron need to look on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think to your other point, can we get in a room, close the door, keep management out,
right?
And let's be honest, what you really mad about? Or what is it really your message?
Right.
Your
that's what I'm talking about, to have that type of conversation.
Because I don't want to know.
Right.
I don't want to know. I want y'all to work that out. And if y'all come out that room and say, I still want to be traded, then I'm satisfied.
Right.
Or you say, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be honest with you. Me personally, I'd be upset if y'all come up and say, well, we're going to go ahead and play together. That would bother me. So you have uprooted and agonized fans, other teams, disrupted other players because you were unhappy. Now you change your mind?
But once that ball go up and they start winning, all that stuff goes out the window.
But I'm not sure they're going to win. I'm not sure they're going to win.
What?
I'm not sure they're going to win. I'm not convinced. They're going to do well.
Who in the East?
I think they got to watch Boston.
Who are Boston? I mean, other than Boston?
Yeah,
Boston and maybe Washington, maybe.
Washington looks pretty decent right now. They coming out.
Well, I'm saying just making the playoffs is what I'm saying.
If the debacle, and we'll know early, because they don't have that many new pieces.
Right.
If Irving leave, if Kyrie leave, then they got a lot of some new moving pieces. But if they keep the same, you can almost assume at this time that they will be able to get there. Now, you can't overlook Boston. Gosh, no, they got a lot of new pieces. And they were talking about the other day about, well, no matter what they do, they still got to meet Golden State. They don't have no new pieces. Well, they do. They got two new pieces.
Right.
And they are very good players. They walk right into the slots. It's like nobody's going anywhere.
Right. And they're supposed to sign McGee to a one-year deal coming up in the next couple of days.
So they got the whole team back.
Right.
And I heard the other night a point that I had overlooked, and that is that they got their coach back.
Right.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Mac Brown did an excellent job. He did with us. That's why he's an assistant. In the context of having an assistant, he can step right in and run the show. But he's not the head coach. And Mike understood that. He understood his voice was different. He understood that because I'm an assistant coach and I follow the letter of what the head coach wants. I try to do his thing, but I look at it differently.
Oh yeah.
I don't necessarily want.
Like for an example, because we joke all the time because I told you about how I coach girls, and then you look at me like I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But I like coaching the girls because I love teaching the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Right. So, but when my pastor a while back, somebody was coaching a team, and whoever was coaching got sick. So him, being the pastor, said, "Oh, okay," because he played ball and I come from a ball playing family, and so he said, "Well, you know, let me go." Right? So he asked me to come out and help him. So now, again, I was very quiet because he was, you know,
Right.
putting his flavor on
Yeah,
it.
you got to.
But
Yeah.
now, if it was me, it would have been a totally different type of practice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Totally different kind of practice. Because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
looking at these suckers running half speed, and see, that's what I'm saying. See, I can't coach. I'm sitting there like this, going crazy, like, half speed, because I don't understand that. I can't relate to
Right.
that. But the funny thing was, when the season was over, he came to me. He said, "I know my calling." And coaching is not it. Because he's dealing with these knuckleheads.
Yeah, it does take.
So
you got to be special.
especially now.
Yeah.
Because I even asked my, the coaches, because I still see one of my coaches that coached me in 10th, 11th, 12th grade, still around. So he recently retired, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. So I asked him, I said, "Fox, man, can you coach the way you coached us?" And he looked at me. He said, "Man, I'll be in jail."
Yeah.
He said they would come and arrest me. But that's what I'm used to.
Right.
But the thing about him and all of us that he coached, we knew his love.
Yeah.
As much as he cussed us out.
Right, yeah.
And the funny thing is, I remember it like it was yesterday, Vince. Like it was yesterday. I still see him in practice to this day. He said, "You know what? I tried coaching you guys without cussing y'all out. But y'all don't understand. I say until I start. Now get your And we, to us, that's what we was used to.
But see,
but we knew he loved us.
I think that's one of the things that's so challenging about coaching. And I've talked to a number of coaches who pride themselves on knowing the mechanic of whatever they're coaching.
Right.
They got high IQ for their sport, which you got to have. You got to understand what you're doing.
Right.
But I've read enough now and talked to enough people, and I've looked at these guys who are succeeding at a really high level. And what I'm beginning to see, and what I'm hearing, and I'm seeing it from myself, the basketball or IQ of the sport is very important. There's no question about that. But I'm seeing relationship they're starting to build to go above the IQ and the skill. I mean, because if you don't have the skill, you don't have the skill. I can help you be efficient, but you either got it or you don't. And certain things I can't give you because you just don't have it. You got kids saying, "Well, coach, I'm not playing. What can I do to get better?" Well, you can do this, and this, but this kid is here. Yeah. You'll get better, but you're not going to be better than him.
Right. I kind of ran into that like my last year that I coached, the last couple of years that I coached, because there's a girl that was with me, and she had been with me because I did it for 5 straight years. And, because you have a few weeks off and then you start up again. Right. So it was 5 straight years. This was straight 5 years. And as we got up into the latter years, now I'm into girls that are in 10th and 11th grade. Now, when I started, they were like 9 and 10 years old. Now they're up, now playing in high school. And one of my players, who was a really good player, she was a white girl who loved the game of basketball. Natalie was very dedicated, hardworking, but she was slow. She was a big girl, kind of. But now I got some girls that came in from Oak Ridge. I got some that came in from Dr. Phillips, and a couple of. So now I got some real athletes, man.
Game changes.
Right.
Game changes.
And so she was so used to getting her playing time.
Yeah.
And she said to me, because her mom and herself was a little hurt that she wasn't playing like she used to. And you want a player, but now I got to find a place and time for her to be on the court. And she said to me with tears in her eyes, She said, Coach Morse, well, can't you teach me to jump higher? You know, can't you teach me to do this? Can't you teach me to do that? And I'm sitting there, and I'm not quite sure what to say to her. Because she's saying, can you teach me to jump higher? Can you teach me to be faster? Can you teach me to do... And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, Natalie, you know, sweetheart, you just keep working at your game, and we gonna, you know, but it's gonna be okay. You know, and then the funny thing is, now that I think back, and funny because it's funny how these things run across your mind. I think I better know how I could have used them more. Cause it's still, I still hear her voice in my head saying, could you make me jump higher? Yeah. Can you do this? You know, and because I'm like, oh man.
And I think that's obviously a part of coaching. You have to learn, and when you start talking about coaching, there are coaches who have systems who don't want to change their system. They want to make players change what they do to fit the system. When your more successful coaches are saying, I want to change my system to fit my kids.
Right.
Now, what that does present situations like you just expressed. I love you, and in that post game, oh yeah, you the person on the floor. However, I now got a team that's not post oriented. We are up and down the floor.
Right.
You are too slow to get up and down the floor.
Well, see, that's another thing to the sports show, man, because I gotta. Oh, Vince, there's so much I want to talk about. I'm serious. There's so much because I want to talk about this basketball and what this basketball have come to. Because I don't recognize basketball no more. This game, what it's become, and
the strategy of the game is.
Well, I got a question. We're gonna have the sports talk show, and you're gonna bring in some people.
I will bring in.
All right,
no doubt.
But I want to ask you this right here, and we're gonna close in a minute. The NBA game that you see on TV, that we watch all the time, if you go, other than when that game stops, and you go play it anywhere, is that the game that you're going to play?
No.
Exactly.
No.
So I don't recognize
That's not even the game that you teach.
Right, exactly.
Obviously,
the game has taken a step backwards. It's going backwards.
It's not fundamentally based anymore. You're taking, because even NBA coaches will tell you, they're taking athletes, and I've had a couple of coaches say, listen, the only reason we took this kid because he has to, well, Jamal Wilkes was a perfect example. They said, there's no way that this kid should be playing, but he's learned that awkward shot, and he's so proficient at it, I can't turn him away.
Right.
I can't change it now.
Right.
And he knocks down the shot. His field goal percentage is so high, I got to let him play. But where would you do that? At a high school or AAU play? We're going to change that shot. We're going to make that adjustment.
Well,
so, and here's a shocker. And I think you and I have discussed this, and I've had this conversation with NBA coaches and stuff. A lot of these guys don't really know the game of basketball.
Duh.
They don't know situational ball. They know up and down the floor. And you go look at a lot of your AAU, and I've been an AAU coach, and I've said this, and you know, people feel different about it. I said, but let's be real. Majority of your AA coaches don't know basketball. They got an all-star team, a lot of talent on the floor, and I had a parent that came to me and asked about that. So I said, well, I'll tell you what. Let's go look at the game, and you tell me what you see. Up and down the floor, up and down the floor. I said, okay, so there's no strategy here. What is your kid learning? They don't practice.
Wow.
Okay, so situational basketball kills them because you're relying on the kid to understand what he's looking at, and some of them do.
Right.
Okay, but a whole team.
Right.
So I thought, my thinking was, and maybe I'm wrong, when I coach, even AAU today, even when I coached before, I thought I was helping a player to become a better team. An individual to become a better team player.
Right.
I was thinking I was coaching a kid that you were going to have, that when you got to this kid, you didn't have to teach him so much. He came to you ready.
Right. That
you say, okay, this kid is ready to go. That's what I thought we were supposed to have been doing.
Right.
But what I see, and I've read this from current players, coaches, the game is just going to nothing because nobody's teaching. These showcase games, and it's a lot of good talent, but you don't see no basketball.
Right.
People run up and down the floor, dunking, and everybody gets excited. Yes, I get excited also. But on the other side of that, how is that preparing him? So when he gets size a letter to go to the Kentuckys of the world, which is probably not the best example because he picked a whole bunch of freshmen. But let's go to Syracuse, let's go to Duke, let's go to the UNC. He gonna struggle. He might be okay at Kentucky. The only thing about Kentucky, he might be low man on the totem pole, all that talent coming in there. And even then, Calipari is teaching basketball. Right. He is teaching basketball. He's got his style of play and his learning curve. He's teaching a different phase of the game because they don't stay there long enough. Right. So I got to get you to be productive this year, and then I ain't got to worry about it. Where in these other schools, everybody's being touched by it, but more often they got 3 years to get this kid ready. And you look at a Duke, and I'm not a Duke fan. You know I'm not a Duke fan. God knows I'm not a Duke fan. But one of the things, and even now, Krzyzewski is being subject to it. They haven't had a kid go early in a long time. They had one this past year. Right. They had a couple. Okay, but what happens when that kid's come in for 4 years? That senior class, you got coaches on the floor now because they've been through the system. They've learned it. They've mechanic. I think that was one of the things that helped Carolina when they came back. They got close. They got a lucky shot last year, 2 lucky shots. The one they made it tied up, right. And then the guy coming down. Not luck, but I just thought they should have defended that different. But anyway, he makes the shot. But what brought them back was those kids stayed there. They went back. They started practice the next week, the very next week. What their focus was, and you brought all that talent back. So now they're talking about the one and done. That's the show we need to talk about because I know there are two sides. People think these kids should be able to go and get their money, and then he should be. I don't agree with that. I never have. I just have a problem with that. I think there are extenuating circumstances, but of course. But for that to be the norm, because a lot of these kids aren't ready. Right. Even if he can play the game, you know how to manage his money, don't know how to manage his time, and in the NBA, it's not a babysitting service. You either gonna come in and get it done, or I'm gonna get rid of you. Right. They've done a smart thing this year. 2 things that I think were smart. Number one, a lot of the NBA teams have got their own G League teams, if you will, and they're close proximity to one another, which I think is excellent. I can call it like the Magic got the team down in Lakeland. That's an easy ride in flying them across the country. Now they've come up, instead of 15-man rosters, you got 17-man rosters with two players being able to go two-way contracts. They can play the G League and they can play in the NBA. And if he play enough games in the NBA, he gets an NBA-type salary. I think those are marked improvements. And I also think it's not only about the skill level, it's the maturity level that goes in there. They're doing a better job of training their coaches, too. Because I think so many coaches, even especially at high school level, they have no idea what they're doing. They ain't got a clue. They work. The AAU coach is automatic. Most of them, they just love the game, and some of them do well now. Don't get me wrong. There's some coaches out there that seriously can coach. But you got a lot of guys who just love the game, and they get a team. They got the money to fund it. They put 10 players together, and off they go. I just don't think that's coaching to me. I think we got to come to practice. We got to do situational basketball. Right. We got to talk about out-of-bound plays. We got to talk about inbound plays. What do we do on pressing and transition basketball? And the guys I told, they looked at me like, we ain't got time for that. How could you not have time for that? Right. I don't care if we practice but once a week. We're going to practice once a week, and we're going to have a 3-hour practice. We're going to have an offensive side and a defensive side. Oh, and by the way, we're going to condition.
Right. Yeah, so, again, there's so much that we can, but I'm just saying I had a whole list of things, from that whole thing of, what we talked about, and again, because I wanted to ask that question because I'm watching, I made a comment during the playoffs, and I said this. I said you have better athletes, but you don't have better players.
Not necessarily better players. That's true.
Right. They don't. Everything that you just said. And the game has changed so much. I don't recognize it. I don't. As a matter of fact, a lot of it I don't even understand it because for an example, how many times we're going stop ball, 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 dunk, boom.
Yeah.
How you don't stop the ball?
And now the NBA wants to speed the game up by taking away some of the timeouts or changing the timeout rules. late in the game. The game's fast enough.
Right.
Well,
I mean,
I don't know what they're trying to get.
But that's another subject, another topic that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
And that is, why is it that we're always trying to change the game?
But Charles, you know why?
There's nothing wrong with the game. There's something wrong with us.
It's the economic of the game is what they're looking at.
Exactly.
They got a time frame. They're trying to fit it all in that time frame.
But what I'm saying is this right here. Just like I said, I don't recognize the game. When I watch the NBA game, I have no idea what that is. Okay, like for an example, they went in, they tinker. Well, now it's 8 seconds. To have the ball cross half court, and just little things. Like for an example, if we watch the Super Bowl, and the score was 7-10. Oh my goodness, we got to make it. The score was too low. Because if you understand the game, there's games when there's good. That's the game.
That's a good game.
That is the game.
That's a good game. And see,
there's days when this is going to be this.
But
that
we
is
overemphasize the entertainment value. That's where the 3-point. That's where the 3-point shot come in.
Right.
And do you realize they entertain a 4-point shot?
Right.
They talked about that. They talked about putting 4 officials on the floor.
Right.
And I'm like you, leave it alone. It's okay. I mean, because when you put the 3-point shot in, where does everybody shoot the ball from? 3-point line. I got a guy 6'11". Give him the ball, and I proved my point. I had some people sit with me. I said, sit right here, don't say a word. Gave him the ball. I said, now, I'm betting you $100 that they shoot from the 3-point line before they shoot from any place else. That's not true. I said, watch. I said, y'all would owe me $500. Easy. Because everybody backed up.
Right.
To shoot the 3.
Right.
So we're influenced by that 3-point line. And like I tell a couple of them all the time, kids, we were coaching last year, when are you going to shoot that?
Well, but
it won't be in a game.
But see, but this is what I always say as they love the 3-point. I said, it has always been there. It has never not been there. Or that shot.
The shot's always been
right.
there.
That shot has always been there.
Earl Pearl was shooting 3s before there was a 3.
Right. That shot, and it will always be there. It ain't gonna ever go away.
But what I don't understand, sometimes during game situations, we up by 10 or 12. I can understand we down.
Right.
That you're trying to catch up. That's the advantage of having a 3-point opportunity. But we up by 12, and then I see kids back up behind the 3. Why?
Right.
Take the 12-foot shot.
Right. But see,
what difference does it make?
But see, and this is what I see so many times, because to understand, you as a coach will understand, you work hard to get a good shot.
Always looking for a good shot.
You get a foot away from the rim. You worked hard. You got a good shot. You kick it out, and I'm like,
oh yeah, the little bit of hair I had is going off for that one. And I've turned great 3 times.
Oh my goodness!
Had a kid we worked with on post move. Had him. I mean, got him. He's doing really well with it. Give him a great shot to the basket. He turns around and looks and kicks it out. And I fell over on the bench. They said, well, we've been working 6 weeks for you to get that shot.
Right.
And he kicked it out. I said, why? I mean, just explain to me why. I said, you had the perfect angle.
What did he say?
Perfect feet. I don't know, Coach. What you mean you don't know? you I just thought that was a better shot. How can the percentages of the shot from where he was to what he kicked to is unbelievable.
Well, see, you know what I would have done? I would have taken him out on the court. I would have placed him right where he was. I said, now shoot the ball.
I did that in practice.
Okay, now go over there behind that 3-point line and shoot the ball.
He know he couldn't shoot a 3.
But I'm
saying, you right here in the basket.
Right.
And you 6'7". Are you serious? And you pass it to a guy that's 5'11". I mean, and so he's like, well, oh yeah, I see, Coach. It's too late now. I mean, I ragged him for a week. Every time he can, go stand up under the basket. Go stand right up under the basket. And every time you kick it out, you give me 5 push-ups. So I had him throw it. Because he gonna do 600. He gonna do 600. Add 5 apiece. He gonna do 600 push-ups. I'm not worried, because it's in his mind.
Right.
It's in his mind. He wants nobody. I said, basketball isn't played that way.
Right.
Now, fast break, you may have that opportunity. But in a half-court game, there may be 1 or 2 times when missed assignments or something, but there's going to be somebody standing there. So if anybody's there to him, that's not a good opportunity. Are you serious? Again, you 6'7", you jump like a frog. You can leap out the gym. So even if the guy's 6'7" with you, you're going to jump over him.
Right.
And finally got him to understand it. Finally, and he missed 3 or 4 of them. He come to me with head coach. I said, you know what? I'm just happy you took the shot. That's all. I'm just happy you took the shot. So you got to pick your battles. You got to win when you can win, and you got to, you got to always be. It goes back again about building relationships. One of my strong points about coaching. Yes, the mechanic is important, but the relationship is more important than the mechanic. You know, because you can mold them. Once you build relationships with them, you can mold them. So we got to talk. There's a whole lot to talk about. Gosh knows there is.
Okay, well, I'm asking him. Vince, we're going to do the show?
We're going to do the show.
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 I promise. We'll do it. I'm in. I'm in.
Right. I just need you in front of a computer.
I can do that.
Right? Okay. All right.
I got, what is it, Voodoo?
No, well, actually, I got something else I'm going to send you to that's even better than
Okay, that's good then.
Yeah,
Just tell me when.
Right.
We're there.
So we're going to start doing the show. And we're going to pick a date that's coming up real soon. And as you see, we got a lot to talk about, especially, you know. Oh, by the way, Vince is a hard Dallas Cowboy fan.
Yes, I am.
You know, he loves his Dallas
Cowboys. Love them Cowboys.
I want to give him some aspirins for his birthday. You know, some ibuprofen or something. You know, but anyway, be looking for the show. I'm going to put out the information on the sports show, and I hope to have James Harris on as well. Just did some work with him recently. He was excited about coming on the show, and in his circle, he has some people that he can, you know, tuck on their shirt and come on the show that I think that you'll be like, oh. So get into the hearts and the minds, and as you know, we are a country that loves sports.
Absolutely,
so
yes we are.
I would love to get some feedback on that one, man, because man, it's just so much to talk about overall, and I think that we have lost our religion to sports. But I want to thank you for coming on the show. We got to play catch up once the show is over, and find out how long he's going to be in town. So I want to thank you for coming on. Fighting
Always nice to come home. Always nice to come home.
Yeah, well, you know, home is a good place to be.
Amen.
Yeah, you know, you stay gone way too long. But anyway, we want to thank Mr. Vince Carter for coming on the Journey 2020, and as I said earlier, you know, make sure that you check out Malik Harris, Generation Curses. Also, Mr. Richard Huntley. You can go and watch the show, The Archives, Dark Days of Horror at Dozier, The Righteous to Take a Righteous Stand, and also A White Man's Woman, An Unspoken Word. If you go to the archive, you can check out what these books are about, or you just can go ahead and just buy them. Good reading. Very hard for me. I've only seen Roots once. I can't watch it. But anyway, tune in next week. And again, if you would have a show an idea, if you would like to come on Journey 2020, you can get in contact with me, see if I can find what I'm looking for here. Oh, here it is. I just put it up real quick. You can email me at that email address. And looking forward to hearing from you. I'm Charles Morse. Until next week, you be blessed.